Alright, let's do this one last time. My name is Drew Dodger, and for the last couple months, I've been doing a podcast with my good buddy, Jacob Herron. While we love film in general, with us being artists and all, we have a fascination with animation, and we decided to start an audio podcast after we both geeked out over the animated Transformers movie. We're not perfect, we've gotten names wrong, and we don't always agree on movies. But at the end of the day, we try to bring an informative and entertaining show to you all, and we'd like to welcome you to The Cellcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me this morning is a man who just really likes his veg, Jacob.
Well, thank you, and like to introduce our co-host, a man who just had to have his mind swapped with a rabbit. Welcome, Drew.
So what's up, Doc? wrong rabbit.
Yeah, wrong rabbit. But, you know, he's gonna get...
Certainly. So how are you doing this morning?
Man, I'm doing good. Got up really early, because obviously most of our audience knows that we record on Tuesday nights. And I had to...
Makes you wonder why I bother to say morning.
Yeah, well, they're listening on a Saturday morning, obviously.
We hope. He releases on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, they could be listening on a Friday afternoon.
Why would you be that late? Hey, whatever.
Yeah.
They could be listening to us in the year 3041 for all we know.
Who knows?
Which, by the way, if that's the case and y'all have invented time travel, come get us.
Let us know.
You know what time period this is. Take that for whatever you will. There was no political statement meant there whatsoever. I'm just trying to be honoring.
Yeah, doing pretty good. Early morning. Yeah, it's been a very interesting week so far.
Mm-hmm.
How about yours?
That's as far as you're going to go with that,
No! Okay, then. Okay,
I'm just curious, because I know something interesting happened yesterday morning.
Yes, it did. Okay. So, to back up to where Drew's replying to... replying?
Referring.
Referring to...
the word you're looking
referring
for.
to... A DVD, that's all, folks. Referring to... So, over the weekend, I went and visited my parents. Over towards the Lake Livingston area in Texas. And so, I was gone. I got back on Sunday. Got into my apartment. Dropped my stuff, dropped my gear. Went over to a Bible study. And after that, came home. Went to sleep. Got up early in the morning. Went for a walk. A very nice, cool, breezy, and slightly wet.
Goodness, because it being the middle of October and it's still being 90 degrees, over nearly 100 degrees every day, was starting to get old.
Yes, it was very much a blessing in disguise.
I don't know if it was a blessing in the sky, maybe.
Yeah, blessing in the sky.
But not in the skies.
Yeah. So, I get home, and I've got maybe an hour, we got a little over an hour to kill. Mm-hmm. So, I get ready, I take a shower, the whole bit, and so I'm going out the door, and I feel a crunch underneath my shoe.
Mm-hmm.
I have the door open, hear the crunch, look down, and there's a dead snake in my doorway.
Now the question is,
crawling with ants.
It had the ants on it, so
yes.
You didn't just kill it.
No, because I said some words that I had to ask for forgiveness later.
Duh. Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, because apparently one of the lack of the word, one of the janitorial guys who work at the apartments heard me. Is like, what's going on? Whoa, it's a snake. It's like, yeah. How did it get there? Can you get it? It's like, yeah, sure. And so, yeah, so I was a little rattled for most of the day.
I
on
imagine
Monday.
You were.
On Monday, and I called the apartment complex and said, hey, this issue happened. Can you sweep the apartment? And they did, and it's okay, good deal.
No more snakes in the apartment.
Hopefully. And so I get home that day, and I am so paranoid. I'd be like, I'm creeping in, checking every corner, using my phone as a flashlight everywhere.
Double checking before you go to bed, because that's one thing you don't want to wake up to.
Oh yeah, yeah. Even like last night, be like I was double padding my my sheets the entire time because I'll feel something like either something would shift or something. Like, be like, hold on, stomp, just pounding. There's nothing.
It was a USB cable.
Yeah. I think I would have.
One I can't use anymore because I just destroyed it by stomping on it.
But yeah, it's been a very interesting 2 days. And
admittedly, when I saw that post on Facebook, I got to thinking, now wait a minute. You're less than 100 yards from me in the same apartment complex.
Yes.
So I looked around the apartment when I got home. I was like, okay, if he's got snakes, there's a chance.
Rather than snakes on a plane, and snakes in an apartment.
Yes.
With no Samuel L. Jackson to save us.
You were tired of these blankety-blank snakes on this blankety-blank apartment.
I can't take it anymore.
Anyway, my week has been pretty good.
Yeah.
I got a chance on Sunday morning, to sing a solo at church.
Uh-huh.
And I have been told that I did a good job.
Yes, you did. It's
not that I don't agree. It's just, you never really know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, because you're up there. It's like, I'm human. I know I had to have made a mistake somewhere, even if I can't think of where it is. But anyway.
Well, to give you, the props that are due, because I was listening via the Facebook Live while driving back from my parents' place. And when your song came on, I was like, okay, that's true. The thing was, I couldn't distinguish either it was you or John sometimes singing. I was like, okay, is that John? Or is that Drew? I was like, okay, that's got to be
me the whole time with the choir doing backup.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I was like, wait,
you couldn't look at the screen. I understand.
Yeah, be
you were
like,
driving.
Oh yeah, this is great. Ah!
It's like that video of that woman playing VR in a moving car while she's in the driver's seat, and you're like, "What are you doing?" Anyway,
someone was definitely chasing rabbits.
Nothing new for this show, and pretty apropos for tonight.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
what have you been up to, Drew?
What I've been watching, since I just talked about what I've done.
That's right. Well, never mind.
Yes.
What have you been watching, Drew?
What I've been watching, last Tuesday, on the last episode we recorded, I teased that there was a show that I thought was going to be coming out with a dub.
Yeah.
Within that week. I was wrong.
Okay.
That dub did not come out, so I decided I don't want to wait on this dub. I've been waiting for a while now. It's right here on the Funimation app on my PS4. I'm going to go ahead and watch Demon Slayer.
Okay, then.
It is set in early 1900s Japan.
Okay.
I think before World War I.
Okay.
And the only reason I know that is because when they're in the country, it's what you expect of, medieval Japan.
Right.
The guy gets to Tokyo, and it's like he's in 1920s era New York. Right? That's the first thought that comes to my mind. And the more I've thought about it, and the more I've done research on it, not even Tokyo was up to that. Tokyo would not have had that much electricity, and by World War One.
I got you.
But it's one of the things you look at and you go, this has to be. Obviously, we're not. If this was after World War One, they would say it's in the Showa era, but they keep saying era.
Mm-hmm. So
it's like, okay, I know that's not. I know they're not to the modern era Japan, and it's obviously not anywhere near World War Two. Anyway, moving on. Plus, I did some research, and apparently, this takes place in 1911. All that beside the point. It is an interesting show.
Okay.
The world there are demons out there.
Okay.
That when they attack you, they attack humans. They're more oni than demons, but demon is the translation they went with.
Okay.
They eat humans. And this one certain type of demon, when he scratches you or bites you or injures you in any way, you turn into a demon.
Okay, then.
So this kid, his family is impoverished. He's one of like 5 kids. The father's dead, and the mother is, well, she's the mother. She can't really leave. And he's essentially the man of the house.
Okay.
You get right down to it.
I gotcha.
It's getting close to New Year's. He's going to go sell, and they make money selling charcoal. He's heading to town to sell some charcoal so they can have a nice New Year's. Because this is definitely pre-Western influence Japan, because they don't care about Christmas.
Yeah.
He gets back the next day.
Mm-hmm.
All of his family is dead. Brutally dead,
Wow.
I should say. If you don't... This is definitely not a show for kids.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna put that right there, because there's too much blood for that. But his younger sister isn't dead. But she's sleeping. But, so he can tell she has been injured. So he is trying to run her to town. Well, as he's about halfway to town, she starts waking back up, and she's not his younger sister anymore. She's been turned into a demon, and she attacks him, of course, because she's being she's got this, it's like when you watch a vampire show and the newborn vampires are hungry and ultra strong. Essentially kind of what this is.
Yeah.
And a demon slayer, cursing himself for being a half day late.
Yeah.
Tries to save our main hero from getting attacked by a sister, but the hero is protecting the sister because he's convinced that is still his sister.
Yeah.
And he's actually a pretty decent fighter. He does some things that, really take this guy for surprise. But eventually he gets knocked out, and the only reason it does not end, the only reason the show doesn't end there, is because the demon sister, despite her hunger and everything, starts to protect her brother from this guy.
Oh, gosh.
So that changes this guy's mind about what's going on.
Yeah.
And he sends them off, and he sends them off to this guy to be trained as a demon slayer. And suggesting, don't let anyone see your sister, because if they see her, they're going to be attacked. And, obviously don't let her out in the sun, because if she goes in the sun, she'll burn up, because that's how it works here.
Yeah.
I've watched through 6 episodes before I realized what time it was.
Wow.
That's how good the show is. Now, unfortunately, right now, if you go to the Funimation app, you can only get it subtitled. However, later this month, or early next month, I'm not sure which, the dub is premiering on Adult Swim on Cartoon Network. I highly suggest, if you've got the means, to partake.
Okay, then.
As long as you're an adult. Because while there's not anything suggestive sexually, very violent.
Okay.
Very violent. They do not
hold
back on the bloodiness of stuff. I mean, that scene where he walks back up on his house is, there's not guts or anything, but it's like, you wonder if they ran out of red ink when they were animated, despite the fact it's a digital show. Yeah. It's like, oh my word. I mean, if you think in Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, that Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's corpses laying on the desert sand is brutal, doesn't hold a candle.
Okay, then.
That's mild.
Okay, I got you. One of those shows.
And it does not hold back. I mean, I've seen all ages be brutally dismembered. It's not gore
for gore's sake.
It's not for gore's sake. This is how it would look, and we're being accurate.
Right.
But at the same time, it's still, a fantasy story that takes place in early 1900s Japan.
Okay.
you'll never look at Michael Jackson the same way again because the main villain is dressed like Michael Jackson.
Okay, then.
In, the white suit and hat, Michael Jackson. I can't remember which thing that is because I don't care about Michael Jackson. But anyway.
Yeah, I know which video you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, good deal.
What have you been watching?
Oh, quite a bit, actually. So let's get the smaller one out of the way really fast. Okay, so before we recorded, I noticed to be like, okay, I've got good signal because I don't have internet in my apartment currently. Where we are right now.
Which is one of the main reasons we don't have video podcasting going. We don't have a video stream yet, and why we haven't had any guest speakers.
Yes.
Or guest hosts.
Yeah, that should change within probably like a month or so.
Oh, I was unaware of that part.
Yeah.
I did not know you had decided to go that route.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I started watching
Disney Plus is what changed your mind, isn't it?
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Because I just realized I just started doing the math. That's when Disney Plus comes out.
Right. So, anyways, I turn on Netflix and the show that I had previously watched in the worst place ever.
That episode just came out. That's last Saturday.
Okay, good deal. So, I watched 2 episodes of Kill la Kill.
It's a good show. And
it is
definitely not for kids.
Definitely not for kids, and not the best place to watch at church.
Or at work.
Or at work.
Anyways,
so I wanted watching 2 episodes, and they're...
I'm going to have to catch up just so I can keep up with where you're at.
Yeah, just slightly bonkers beyond belief.
I've only watched, I think, like 5 episodes. So.
Right.
Which one are you up to?
I think I'm on episode...
I mean... I don't remember the numbers.
Okay.
What happened?
Let me think. What happened?
By now, you had to have the race to school.
Yeah, that was the one that was the previous, and this one currently was the needle guy.
Oh, from the sewing club.
No, it's not the guy from the sewing club.
Okay, I am going to have to catch it.
Yeah, he's the guy. He looks like he's wearing tactical uniform, and he's
guy who's
you need to know 2 things. Who's the kind of guy?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
completely against the idea of the life thread stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's so I watched 2 episodes before we start recording. And it's like, okay, this is a fun series, and
it gets better because I watched a good large portion of it subtitled.
Oh, okay.
Before I was like, this is cool and all. I would love to know what's actually going on without having to read this fast. Especially when you get to Makoto, because she goes 90 miles an hour. Even in the Japanese version.
Oh my gosh.
You can't keep up. I was pausing to read the subtitles of what she was saying in every second, because it'd be like, stop, I can't read that fast.
That's why I prefer English.
Which is why I prefer English, but I'm not against subs.
I got you. So, my second one is, I didn't see this episode, but I've heard of it. And so, as probably most people know, I'm a huge fan of Tangled. And
no kidding.
Yeah, no kidding. So, apparently, Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure Season 3 dropped, I think, this previous weekend. I
was unaware of this.
Yeah. So,
I was going to wait till Disney Plus coming, because I know that series is in the Disney Plus lineup.
Which I'm really looking forward to.
Along with Phineas and Ferb, which I want to watch all the way through Phineas and Ferb again.
So,
the dumbest show that's ever come out, but I love it because it's also brilliant.
So they obviously just released season 3, episode 1, and there was this theory going around with a bunch of the fandom of this show, because it is huge. This is a huge fandom of the show. And so there was this, theory going around. It's like, oh, who is Cass's mother? Who's Cass's mother? We don't know her past. We don't know anything about her, really.
Mother Gothel.
You're...
I'm just guessing, because it's like, that would make the most sense.
Yeah. So...
But wait a minute. Anyway.
So, anyways, at the end of the...
That way they're technically sisters.
Yes. Anyways.
Sorry.
No.
Am I spoiling stuff without realizing it? Okay.
So, at the end of season 2, the entire thing is to get to the Moonstone. Get to the Moonstone, because if Rapunzel gets to the Moonstone, she'll have ultimate power, and she can do all these amazing things. So
she'll go Super Saiyan.
Kind of. Kind of. So
it's golden hair after all.
And so, just as she's about to grab this Moonstone, who grabs it? Cass. And Cass and we're like, I want my dream, and she's tired of being second place, and so she transforms and the whole jazz. And so apparently in the new episode, we get that follow up. We get obviously the new song, obviously because this, they do a lot of songs. And apparently we do a flashback. And so we finally get to see like Cass as a little girl. Mm-hmm. And so we go into this little cabin and Cass would be like, this place seems familiar. And she's holding this little wind up, like jewelry box. Mm-hmm. And she walks to them and be like, can you be like, Mom, can you wind this? And instantly you hear the voice and it's like, oh crap. It's Mother Gothel. Mm. It's like, oh snap! So spoilers galore if you haven't watched the episode yet.
I mean, you look at the character design, and it's obviously the inspiration for Cass was Mother Gothel.
Yes,
so it makes sense.
Oh yeah, and so we get the origin of like where Mother Gothel leaves to steal Rapunzel, and be like is incredibly cruel to little Cass, and just like it just broke your heart. She's stolen Rapunzel and is, fleeing from the guards. She stops right in front of her home where Cass is, who's just a little thing. And the guards barge in and be like, where is it? Where's the princess? And you see Mother Gothel, she's standing outside the door, kind of like, do I go in? Do I get my own child? Do I just take off? And literally, she just cuts the bridge to her own home and walks and, rides off into the night. And it's like, just like heartbreaking. Oh my gosh. Just that tore me up. I was like, oh dude, this is terrible. But so good at the same time.
Right.
So obviously I can't wait to actually see the series because if you want to watch it, either you have to have the Disney Channel to watch it or Disney Now, which you have to have some cable network service for it.
That is until Disney Plus comes out, and then you only have to wait a year for the new season. Probably.
Exactly.
So I'm assuming it's not going to be an immediate bring over.
Yes. So my third and final show that I watched. So, as probably some people know, I'm a fan of the CW Arrowverse. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there was a
Crisis already happened, didn't it?
No, Crisis has not happened. It's happening this season, which I'm really looking forward to. How many characters are going to be in this season?
I may just watch that one episode and be happy.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to bother trying to catch up.
Okay, yeah.
There's too much to watch.
Yes. So, there was one show coming out, Batwoman. Yeah, so I'd be like, the trailer came out, and I was like, I am not going to like this show whatsoever.
Could have told you that.
Well, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to watch the first episode on the app. Mm-hmm. So, I'm watching it, and it's like, okay... this is who this is. Oh, okay. Not clever. Okay, no. Alright, I'm gonna look away. Nope, not watching that. It's so, be like, the show rolls on and be like, takes me like, a couple hours to watch it because obviously I can't sit still for, that long. In one sitting for some reason.
Staring at your phone.
Yeah, staring at my phone. So.
A little easier when it's a big television for some reason.
A little bit. So, after watching the entire thing, I'm like, okay, this is cliche beyond belief. Mm-hmm. And the ending threw me. I was like, oh, really? Oh, okay. Because apparently, for spoilers, whoever is going to watch Batwoman, apparently, at a very young age, Katie, who's our main character, apparently, Batman tries to save a bus. Apparently, the Joker's driving this bus, runs Katie and her mother and her younger sister off the road. Mm-hmm. So Batman tries to save him, but for some reason his equipment fails, and Katie's the only one who survives.
Of course.
Yeah, and so this is a woman who is angry at everybody. Be like, she's angry at her father, she's angry at everybody. She's one of the people that...
Is she angry at Batman?
Somewhat.
If she's angry at Batman, why did she become Batwoman?
Because Bruce Wayne is her cousin. Dum dum dum. It's so cliche. It's not even funny. It's like, you're Bruce Wayne's cousin. Be like, oh, you're like a female Bruce Wayne. And just like, come on, really? It's like, really? The other stuff they're really trying to hammer home. It's like, okay, we get it. You don't need to overemphasize this.
That was the whole point of that character.
Yeah. But it's like, okay, there was one part where she's like, okay, she finds out that Bruce Wayne's Batman, and she finds the suit. And she's like, and she's found out that her girlfriend has been kidnapped by these
Jokerettes.
They're not Jokerettes. They're guys in rabbit mask.
Okay, at least that's a Batman villain. That could be connected to what's his name? Mad Hatter.
No, it's not Mad Hatter. It
could be connected, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it can be connected. But and she's like, okay, so she tells I think his last name's Fox.
Lucius Fox.
Yeah, Lucius Fox Kid or something like that. And so she's demanding, be like, you need to modify this suit. I'm like, wait a minute, it's perfection. Be like, it's perfection until a woman, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But I kept thinking, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, this is a woman who's probably about my height.
Mm-hmm.
But, thinner, built more like a woman.
Yes.
Batman is built more like J.J. Watt. From the Houston Texans.
Right.
Yeah, it's Batman. You're like, he's not an 8-feet little dude. He's huge. So that's not modifying a suit. That's completely rebuilding a brand new suit for her.
Mm-hmm.
And they change it like the next episode. It's like, okay, what was that about?
Comic books.
Yeah, comic books.
In the worst possible way. That's stolen from the 60s.
Yeah, pretty much. So
you just put it in your suit modification machine.
So the episode ends. I'm like, okay,
sorry, bat suit modification machine.
Yeah,
You gotta keep that branding. It's the 60s era.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyways, so we get to the end of the episode. We faced our baddie. She doesn't do a very good job. The only reason she's doing it to save her girlfriend. She dumped her to be in the military. So apparently someone's obsessed.
No kidding.
And so
it's the writer.
Yeah, I don't know. There's be like, oh, she's married to a dude now. Okay, so the whole reason I came here for nothing. And so she faces the villain. She wins by the skin of her teeth. Not really, but she finds this dagger, and she's looking at it. And she's writing letters of Bruce and be like, yeah, before you kill me, be like for hijacking your gear and that kind of stuff. And she's yammering on about, you need to hear my story, like all CW shows are now.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's looking at this gem, and for all the flashbacks, apparently her sister was wearing a necklace of the same gem. It's like, oh my gosh, my sister's the villain. I'm like, okay, that was an interesting turn. A little bit. I didn't see that one coming. So it's like, okay, slightly interested in what's going to happen next.
Okay.
So, yeah, I kind of spoiled most of...
And you didn't make me want to watch it, but okay.
Yeah. So, it's like, okay, yeah, so I watched Batwoman. It's like, it's not the greatest. And obviously for reasons that it's being hyped.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, one, she's not a likable character at all.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, yeah, I can totally get why Oliver Queen becomes Arrow. I totally understand why Barry Allen becomes the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
They're both likable characters. You know why Kara Zor-El becomes Supergirl?
Yeah.
Because they're likable characters and they want to do good. This chick is just... This woman is just angry about everything. She's mad at her dad because her dad will let her do this. And the guy apologizes to her.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, I love you. That's the reason I didn't want you to do this. And she's still moping about it.
Mm.
Oh, because my dad doesn't love me because he didn't let me do this. He's trying to help you. He's doing his fatherly thing, not to make sure you don't get hurt.
Right.
But no, because you're trying to tell me I can't do something. You don't love me. Anyways, rant about that over. That irritated the fire out of me. Because I went back to my normal saying and be like, okay, cry me a river, build a bridge, and get over it. The man has basically said, I love you. This is the reason I did this.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, by the way, that job you've always wanted, be like, if you want it, it's yours. And then the next scene, she's moaning about how her dad doesn't love her and nobody else understands her. And be like, the reason I became Batwoman is to be like, for I can make my own rules. Pwah! Okay. It's like, that's not why Bruce Wayne became Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Wayne became Batman because his parents died.
Yeah.
And he wanted to make sure what happened to his parents and him didn't happen to any other kid. Mm-hmm. Or anybody else. That's why he became Batman. It wasn't because, oh, he's a rebel and doesn't follow the rules. And it's like, okay, apparently you've never read nearly 80 years of comics. But anyways, the main character of this show is not likable at all. She pushes people around. She's to be like, yeah, it's I'll probably give it one more episode to be like, okay, is this any good at all?
Okay. And
yeah, so apparently there's gonna be a tie-in with, the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Of course.
And it's like, okay, how is this gonna play out? Anyways, so yeah, that's what I've been watching. Rant over.
For now.
Anyway,
the only bit of news I found, get this back up. So DreamWorks Animation has announced 2 new feature films for 2021.
Okay.
One is called The Bad Guys, and the other is an untitled movie that is tentatively be calling Spirit Riding Free.
Okay.
The Bad Guys is about 5 bad guys doing the hardest job they've ever done, being good.
Okay.
It's apparently based on a book. It looks... There's no trailer or anything, because this is that early on.
Yeah.
But it sounds like an interesting idea, and DreamWorks does tend to do good jobs.
Yeah.
So I'm all for giving it a shot.
Okay. So this piece of news actually came in...
Oh, by the way, my news came from Cartoon Brew.
Okay. Yeah, this piece of news that I'm bringing up actually was brought to my attention by one of our listeners. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Heather, for... apparently, Netflix they were releasing a new animated film called Claws. Which is supposed to be set... The movie is supposed to be released November 8th of this year. Mm-hmm. Which basically it's kind of a retelling of the origin of Santa Claus.
Okay.
Because apparently
that hasn't been done enough.
Yeah. So apparently it's this postmaster comes to a small town which is just, grim and just like there's no happiness in this little town. Mm-hmm. And so he meets Claus, who apparently is a big guy. I'm forgetting who he's being voiced by, but apparently he's a toy maker. And so it's like if you make toys, we'll give them out to kids, and it's basically the kind of a reimagining of how Santa Claus became Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. And apparently the mayor is not liking this whatsoever. Be like, there's happiness in my town? We can't have this! So apparently it's this big, kind of streets of New York kind of battle. Mm-hmm. The movie that came out years ago, or several years ago. And it's like, okay, this looks fun. It's like, okay, I might give it a shot. So there again, thank you, Heather, for bringing that to my attention.
Okay.
So that's all I've got for news.
Alrighty, well then let's hit our spoiler-free portion of the review for our movie, which is ironically about chasing rabbits.
Yes!
The movie session is our third movie of Halloween month, and is called Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Described by its directors as the world's first vegetarian horror movie.
Yes.
What did you think about it?
Oh, a lot of fun. Still, it's a very silly British comedy.
Mm-hmm.
As a very good, lighthearted horror movie. And all the rabbit puns you can think of. It's enjoyable. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely worth a watch. And it's stop motion claymation.
Yes.
So,
it is the first time we've reviewed one of those.
Yes.
So
it's a lot of fun. It's one of those films you could watch. You could hit pause and just watch every frame as they build into it, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Whereas
there's a lot of little gags in the background of every shot.
Yes, there are. Yeah. So I've definitely recommend it for those. Be like, it is definitely family friendly. There's nothing really, unless you are scared of a very big bunny, who's eating a lot of vegetables. Yeah, that's all I got. What do you got?
I mean, it is a funny movie if you like British comedy.
Yes.
Admittedly, if you don't like British comedy, there may not be much here for you. But like you said, it is good. It is claymation. There's a lot of stuff in the background of every shot. It's beautifully animated.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely also say it's family friendly. You should give it a shot.
I agree.
All right. So, I guess we should move into our full spoiler-filled review of Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Beware the rabbit!
So, Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Wallace and Gromit was originally created by Nick Park.
Okay.
He was also he is the director and writer, along with Steve Box of Wallace and Gromit: Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
The movie was also written by Mark Burton, who is most well known for the first Madagascar movie.
Ah.
And Bob Baker, who the main thing I saw that was interesting for him is that he wrote some episodes of the modern Doctor Who series.
Okay.
And is apparently the only person allowed to write any dialogue for the character of K9 in that show.
Okay.
Because every single thing on there's like character dialogue for K9. It's like, why is he the only one allowed to write for this guy? For this character? It's a robot dog. Why is he the only one allowed to write for him? But anyway. The music was by Julian Knott, who wrote the music for all the other previous Wallace and Gromit cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
The cast, starting with Peter Sallis as Wallace and Hutch. By the way, it's a fair warning going into this. When I pull this list, I go based on stuff I know.
Yeah.
A lot of these people are, of course, British actors.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you who keep up with British television and movies might notice a trend in my viewing habits of British television by who I list here as what they've been in. I'm just going to give you all a fair warning. So Peter Sallis, who played both Wallace and Hutch, plays the character of Penley in the Doctor Who episodes of the Ice Warriors from the second Doctor's run.
Okay.
Ralph Fiennes, who plays Victor Quartermain, he plays He Who Must Not Be Named in Harry Potter.
Voldemort!
Fine. Helena Bonham Carter, I found interesting. Oh, she plays Lady Campanula Tottingham.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting that she played Bellatrix Lestrange in Harry Potter.
Yes. And she did amazing.
Which is interesting considering the reverse nature of the relationship between this and that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, no, get with me.
Yes. Peter Kay,
Okay.
played PC Macintosh.
Okay.
You gotta love that pun.
Yes.
In the the 10th Doctor episode Love and Monsters, he played Victor Kennedy.
Okay.
Nicholas Smith, who played Reverend Clement Hedges,
Oh, gosh.
played Wells in 3 episodes of Doctor Who.
There's a theme here.
I told you there would be. Liz Smith played Mrs. Mulch. She previously played Grandma Georgina in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, okay. That's different.
Yeah. John Thompson played Mr. Windfall. And did you ever hear of a movie called Inkheart?
Inkheart?
Yes.
I've heard of it, yes.
I've only heard... It's the only thing I thought most people would even recognize, and even this is a little stretching it.
Yeah.
He apparently played a character in that called Darius.
Okay.
I don't know. All I know about Inkheart is that it stars Brendan Fraser.
Okay.
So, yeah. Mark Gatiss played Mrs. Blight. He's most well known for playing Mycroft Holmes in Sherlock.
Ah.
Geraldine McKeown played Mrs. Thrip. And in the 2009 season of Red Dwarf, she played Cassandra.
Okay, then.
Like I said, I had a hard time finding stuff, so most of this is shows I've watched.
Okay.
Edward Kelsey, who played Mr. Growbag, previously played a character named Edu in Doctor Who, The Creature from the Pit, and Resno in Power of the Daleks. I know that means nothing to you, and probably to a lot of people.
Well, it'd be like, I've watched quite a bit of Who, but not that much Who.
Keep in mind, this is stretching all the way back to First Doctor.
Oh, okay.
Over the entire... There are people in here from all over the 50 years of Doctor Who.
Wow.
Dickon Ashworth played Mr. Mulch. He played in the Doctor Who episode Time Lash, which was, I think, a 7th Doctor when I looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
He played a character named Sezin. But in the horrible movie Krull, which I've only seen the Riff Tracks version of,
Okay.
he played a character named Bardolph. Robert Horvath played Mr. Dibbler.
Okay.
This is all he's ever played.
Okay.
He has 2 credits. One is this movie. The other is the game based on the movie, and he plays the same character.
Okay.
There was an Xbox One game based on this movie, which I did not know.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. Peter Atkin played Mr. Croc, and the only thing I saw was that he was additional voices in the movie Planet 51.
Okay.
Ben Whitehead played Mr. Leaching, and he played the pirate who likes sunsets and kittens in The Pirates Band of Misfits. I'm really stretching at this point because these last 2 people, I have nothing.
Okay.
Nani Lewis played Mrs. Girdling, and Vincent Ibrahim played Mr. Kalish. Now, admittedly, with Mr. Kalish, or Vincent, he had stuff. He had a long list of stuff. I didn't recognize any of them.
Okay.
So my apologies there. But anyway, that's the cast list.
Okay. So, the movie was released on October 7th, 2000.
Oh, I did forget to mention that Gromit was played by himself.
Of course.
That wasn't officially credited. I just threw that in there.
Yeah, he does woof, I think, once.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't
speak at all.
He's a very quiet dog.
No, of course, the other dog doesn't even bark either. I don't
No, he
think.
does.
He
He
growls, but I did not see a listing on who was his growl. And while my first assumption will always be Frank Welker, I doubt it.
All right. So, this movie was released on October 7th, 2005. It had a budget of... Now, granted, this is in U.S., not UK. Nothing pounds. So, it had a budget of $30 million. Its U.S. opening was 16 million and change. Its U.S. gross was only $56 million. So its worldwide release, its gross altogether was $109 million in change.
Now technically, that sounds like it made money.
It did make money.
But from my research, I found out this movie, along with Flushed Away, they both were considered to have underperformed by DreamWorks, and that's why that's why they cut ties with Aardman Entertainment.
Yeah, that's weird. Be like, you have a movie that obviously had a small budget and made a really good return.
But one of the other things I read is most of the notes that were being sent back over to them was movie. I know! But that's what DreamWorks kept sending them. But anyway. Admittedly, I can see how name recognition alone, I think, could get people in seats.
Yeah.
Maybe get adults in seats, I should say. I can kind of see maybe why kids didn't get into this movie.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. It's kind of like name recognition for a really terrible movie that came out a couple of years called Doom.
Let's not get into that.
Yeah. Terrible movie. Don't go watch it.
The only movie stupid enough to try and replicate the first-person shooter view. I don't mean following the point of view of the character. I mean literally having the gun bounce up and down on the movie screen in front of you. Don't do that. That only works in some instances. It won't work in a movie.
Yeah. But, anyways. Alright, so, as our listening audience knows, that we do the good and the bad of the movie.
And if there's something to be made fun of, the ugly.
Yeah.
Which we do the ugly anyway.
Yeah, we do the ugly anyway. So, what is your number one for the good?
The number one thing I liked about this movie, all of the puns. Oh my word. I just listed a lot of them in that cast list.
Yes.
Like Mrs. Mulch, PC Macintosh.
Gee.
Anyway, and of course you have one of Wallace's inventions, the Bunvac 2600.
Oh, that was hilarious. It's just sucking one of these little buddies and they're all sucking them.
But all those little puns, those little jokes that were everywhere throughout this. I even remember one point where after it's revealed that, well, by the time we know that Wallace is the were-rabbit.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. Which you can kind of tell from the beginning.
Yeah.
For being honest. But at one point, he does say, "What's up, Gromit?" It's like, did I hear that? Yeah, I did hear that. You went there. And I thought Spider-Pig saying "that's all, folks" was pushing it. And didn't know how that was legal. Well, they weren't the first to do it.
No, they weren't.
But anyway.
Oh.
And yeah. That's one of the first things I liked about it, is that all the puns, they're everywhere throughout this movie, even and little visual gags.
Yeah.
Like all the different ways that the vegetables are under lock and key by Antipesto.
Yes, that was so funny.
What do they do? Tailor make every single one of these for each vegetable?
Apparently.
Why? Not that we ever saw what was actually done at Lady Tottingham's.
No.
Other than she was a customer and he put her picture up on the wall with the light up eyes. But anyway.
Well, he was kind of gaga for her.
Well, he was doing that with all the customers. So obviously, she was a customer.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So,
what's your number one?
My number one? Number one, it's stop motion claymation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I'd be like, the first scene is like, because I've done claymation before, and it is hard.
Yeah.
Because it's literally, you're taking hours and hours and hours for like a...
There is a reason why a lot of the claymation is not used for stop motion anymore, and it's all gone to pre-printed, 3D printed stuff.
Yeah.
In more recent years.
Yeah.
Or in the case of Robot Chicken toys.
Yeah, pretty much. But, oh my gosh, the first opening scene of the cop, walking his beat, it's like every step, all the lighting, you have to get that correct. It's literally, if you don't know what claymation stop motion is literally you have to set all your lights, set your character, take a picture, take one single action, set it, make sure your lighting's right, and repeat that for hours and days and days and years and years and years and years.
Keeping in mind that film is 20 frames, i.e. 20 pictures,
yes,
a second, and that this movie is 85 minutes long.
Yeah. So wrap that around your heads a little bit.
Yeah.
That is 3 years in the making. 3 years.
Which is lightning fast.
Oh, yeah.
For this sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Look at another movie we'll be doing for Halloween.
Mm-hmm. Our next one, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
How long did that one? Oh, we'll get into that when we get to that movie.
When we get to that movie.
But,
yeah, just the animation is just in this movie. Be like, obviously you can't do everything because, be like
the fur on the were-rabbit itself.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's obviously not clay.
Yeah.
But, oh my word, did they do... I don't know how they did that with the fur on that rabbit as much as they did, because some of that shouldn't be possible.
Yeah, because either they had like a synthetic something that it looks synthetic.
Yeah, it's obviously a synthetic fur, but it doesn't... It still moves like claymation.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Oh, yeah. And like when Wallace and Gromit, they get up and they, go through the vacuum, the tubes and the whole bit. They're getting dressed because it's all automated because Wallace is an inventor. And apparently he's just lazy because he wants to eat cheese.
Yeah.
And the point where it's even like it's captioned in the title sequence.
The opening sequence there where it's the pictures.
Yeah.
They keep going there. And
that's perfect. That
plus,
was great.
You gotta love Gromit went to the dog.
Yeah.
Went to Dogwarts University.
See, that was great.
Really interesting considering Voldemort and Bellatrix are playing in this movie.
Yes. Yeah, when Wallace and Gromit they clap their tea mugs together or their coffee mugs together, and you see the
liquid.
The liquid. Oh, that was just genius.
Oh my word. I don't know. Okay, I admittedly do not know what goes into how to do most of the stop motion stuff.
Yeah.
I've never read up any on it. I have no idea how they did the clay liquid for that scene. It's like, how did you do that? It's obviously it looks like it's in the air, but I know it had to be connected to the ground somehow.
Yeah, that's a lot of compositing.
Yeah,
there's a lot of compositing in this movie, and it just
had to have been compositing.
Yeah, it's compositing. Because there again, I've done claymation before, and good night, it is just a headache and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely when you're doing it by yourself. So a very, 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 very short story back in seventh grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 7th grade.
Not that I'm agreeing. It's like, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So back in 8th grade,
I don't know what you did in 7th, 8th grade.
Okay. So I was in advanced arts in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise, surprise. So we did traditional film.
Mm-hmm.
We did claymation. We did animation.
Mm-hmm.
And claymation, because I was assigned these two other girls that were classmates, and one of them didn't want to do the work, obviously, because
it's a group project. There's always one.
Yeah. So, and I was the kind of person that was, I still am in some ways, that if you're not going to do it, get out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to do it, I'll give you some credit. And so I did the entire project by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave them credit, even though they didn't do anything. Oddly enough, I wanted dating in high school.
Okay.
Not rubbing it in, just, that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's a lot of hours. Be like, good. I don't know how many hours I spent working on that thing. Because, I think one of the young ladies that I worked with, Sherry, she actually helped with the project a little bit, where the other girl didn't want to work at it at all. It's like, okay, fine, we'll give you credit. And So, yeah, it was a very interesting experience. It's one of those experiences I'll never forget. Mm-hmm. I wish I still had the footage of this, and I'm pretty sure if I could probably track down my original that teacher, he probably has it somewhere.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's somewhere. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. It was a very, very interesting semester of learning. Mm-hmm. But yeah, claymation, amazing. Just drop dead. Oh my gosh, how they do it? That's incredible. Mm-hmm. Sled-jawed and everything. Incredible. What's your number 2?
My number 2. It just left my mind. My number 2. Actually, I remember that. My number 2 is the scene where the bunny gets sucked into the bun vac and goes to bunny heaven.
Oh, yes! I love that.
That's the lines of like he flips the button that says onward to bunny heaven or something to that effect. Yeah. The bunnies are running away from the suction in the ground, which I'm sorry, suction don't work that way.
No, it doesn't. It's not
that is a very strong vacuum.
Oh,
to be able to pull bunnies across the landscape.
Including a human.
And a human, yes. It sucks in there, and it's...
Well, what made that scene even funnier was the hunter character. What's his name?
Victor Quartermain.
Victor Quartermain. Sounds like a character from General Hospital. I was a kid at homeschool. Come on, fine, I know these characters' names. So Victor is about to shoot the rabbit, and
he thinks the bunny thinks it's dead.
Yeah,
that's right. He's the one who says, "Time to send you to bunny heaven." He shoots, but before he shoots, the bunny gets sucked down the hole. So the bunny wakes up, and it's heading through a tunnel at fast speed. He's like, "Oh, I'm dead."
And then he's floating, and
he's floats all these other bunnies around. It's like bunny heaven. It's like. Wow.
And then it pulls up, be like, oh, you're in this big glass tank. It's like, that was
incredible. It's like, he's heading towards the lights.
You're in bunny heaven. Until you realize you're in a big containment field.
Yes. But yeah, all that part there with the bun vac, and every time the bun vac showed up, including at the end, where... for some reason, you can't just let them out of the glass thing to let them go free at the Bunny Wildlife Sanctuary. You have to put it on blow and blow them back through the holes. Why? I know it's funny, don't get me wrong, but why?
Who knows?
And then, of course, Hutch at the end. Jeez! Always one part of me will always be at Tottenham Hall. That's not the part she wanted. You nitwit. Anyway. What is your second thing?
Okay. For context, this is the first time I ever saw this film.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that.
No, we didn't.
We'll come back to that. We'll do that between likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
For difference.
Yeah, so, just being a rough idea, it'd be like the first time I ever seen the movie, having no idea what's going on in this film. Mm-hmm. Except, okay, it's a were-rabbit. Where's a were-rabbit? So, when Gromit, who I just love, love Gromit, because be like, I like dogs. Mm-hmm. I can't help it. It's a kindred spirit.
Okay.
So we get, Gromit doing his thing. He doesn't talk. He's a very intelligent, very distinct dog. Mm-hmm. He'd just be like, and so he walks in and be like, okay, this were-rabbit has terrorized the neighborhood. And so we're given the viewpoint of the rabbit who has been, mind altered, is in the cage, and he breaks out, and so we're like, okay, that's a were-rabbit.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, that's kind of cool.
That's your thoughts. Like, okay, the rabbit's going to be the were-rabbit. That makes sense.
That makes sense. It's like, okay, so you go through all of this, and be like, the next morning, be like, oh, we've caught the were-rabbit. And so they put the rabbit up. They put the rabbit in this big high-tech cage, which is like overdone beyond belief, and plus Gromit's making it so it's cool.
Yes.
So
then Gromit closes the door and realizes the mud prints go past the walk down to the basement.
Yes. And goes straight into whose?
Wallace's room. It's like, oh! And it's covered in vegetables.
It's like, oh, that is clever. The entire, switch, twist. I was like, that is the coolest thing on the planet. Because I didn't see it coming.
Right.
And, oh my gosh, that was ingenious how they played that up.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, Wallace is the were-rabbit? Oh, that's going to be funny. And it's like, wait.
And then, to jump on yours, this is not my number 3, but this is something I want to bring up with that. The part where they realize, next thing you're going to tell me is that Hutch is turning into me. And they run down there, and that is what happens.
he's wearing the green sweater.
Wearing the green sweater, and he's saying Wallace's lines from different parts of the movie. It's like, that's ingenious. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that before.
Oh yeah,
with this concept.
This absolute genius when it came to the little twist.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, I was so convinced it's a rabbit.
Yeah,
the rabbit has become a werewolf. But I was like, wait.
This was my second viewing of it.
Okay.
So one thing I saw that was interesting about Hutch, after he gets mind altered, he's already holding his mouth like Wallace does in that first scene.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It's subtle, and the only reason I knew that is because I'd seen the movie before, so I knew who the were-rabbit was and what was going to happen to Hutch.
Okay.
And I'm going, and it's kind of hard to tell because the way the rabbit's being held, it's kind of like being held up by the back of its neck.
Yeah.
So its cheeks are already kind of puffed up, like Wallace's are. But then you realize that's not that was the first hint that what actually happened.
Uh-huh. Yeah, looking back now, it's like, oh, clever.
Yeah.
Clever bunny.
So the third thing I liked, the sequence between Gromit and Victor's dog, whose name I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
On the plains.
Oh, yes.
First off, I don't know if you caught this. The plane that Gromit first takes off with is, of course, a model of a Royal Air Force airplane from World War One.
Mm-hmm.
What plane does the other dog take off in?
It's a blue, right?
The Red Barons.
Oh, of course! It is the Red Baron, of course.
It's a homage to Snoopy and the Red Baron. I looked at that and go, they did that! They actually made the only thing that made it better, because they always said Snoopy was always, when he was in that fantasy, he was always a pilot for the Royal Air Force.
Yeah.
So they gave him a Royal Air Force plane, because they obviously couldn't give Gromit the doghouse that you normally see in the Snoopy cartoons when he's in that sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then they're going through that, the plane runs out of money and comes to a stop while Gromit is being choked out by this other dog. Gromit pushes him up, does the finger, starts looking for money for his thing. The dog says, hang on. The other dog says, hang on. Pulls out the girliest coin purse is possible. Starts going through it. And even tells the dog, you didn't see this, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he puts more change back into the thing, closes it up. They get back into the position they were before it started, and then the plane takes off again. It's like, that is so dumb. But I loved it because it's hilarious.
So good.
It's like, Gromit, you had him! You're smart enough to know you had him. What did you do? It's like, no, this is the gag. We have to keep going.
It's British humor.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say.
That entire sequence was just glorious.
Oh, yeah. So, my number 3 would have to be, like, just Gromit.
Mm-hmm.
Just Gromit in general. He is basically Snoopy of this movie.
Yes.
That just be like, he's always in the right place
at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
And Wallace is nowhere to be found, obviously.
And he is so... Gromit is the most sarcastic character in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He is so fun just to watch. And I hate to jump in on yours. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're good.
But one of my other favorite parts with him in it is when they decided the best way to catch the were-rabbit is through love, because love is a trap.
Oh,
And they have the giant were-bunny stuffed thing on top that Gromit is controlling. And at first it's just, the standard Frankenstein with the hands out and the
yes.
And then Wallace tells him, "Oh, Gromit, you got to be more sultry or whatever." And so he starts doing the dun, 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 and does the high kicks, even does the hip thing. It's like, and he's got an own button to make the bunny wink.
I love the follow-up scene where they're coming into the tunnel.
They hit the bridge.
And the rabbit comes off.
Wallace goes back to the get
thump.
And you look in there, and Gromit is stuck to the ceiling by the wires. You can actually see him at the top of that where the thing came through the roof, but you can see his outline.
Oh, that was just genius.
And of course, at that point, during that is what Wallace does one of his first Were-Rabbit transformations that we know of. Mm-hmm. And the first way you know it is the giant plastic carrot that you saw just a second ago.
Oh, yeah.
Falling on those, like, we just entered Jurassic Park, but with a were-rabbit.
I didn't think about that.
That was the first thing that came to mind. I was like, this is the scene from Jurassic Park. The only thing we're missing is the cup of water with the ripples, because the were-rabbit's not going to be that big.
Oh, that would have been funny. No.
And,
hop.
And then he somehow, I don't remember how he got connected to the were-rabbit, as the were-rabbit was burrowing all the way through town.
Oh, it was the lasso on the
lasso.
The lasso on the car.
Yeah.
He lassos the rabbit. It just dragged him underground.
And he's going down through, and the truck is following him through this thing. And of course, the mud is getting up on it, so Gromit turns on the windshield wipers from light rain, heavy rain, heavy loam. It's like, no kid is going to know what loam is, but that's funny. And for those of you who don't know, it's dirt. It's soil.
Oh gosh, like that. The pilot scene, the scene where our main bad guy is going to shoot Wallace as the were-rabbit.
Yes,
and that whole like Matrix type scene. Where Gromit comes in with the plane and like hits the plane, and it's just great.
Another funny
every scene he's in is
Victor's got another funny scene in that is that Victor has 3 golden bullets.
Yes. Oh yeah.
The first one is when he initially misses back at Wallace's house.
Yes.
The third one he misses because he's a bad shot. If we get right down to it. But the second one, the reason it doesn't go towards the were-rabbit at all is because he's trying to make the town shut up. So he fires his gun into the air and says, "I've only got 1 gold bullet left. So I'm going to have to make the shot count." And then that goes on, and he goes to get to the vicar, whatever you call that guy, the priest.
Yeah.
He says, "I need another gold bullet." It's going to take a while. Those are expensive. But how are we going to take this out? I don't know. Then he sees this big cannon, and then remembers the golden carrot statue. I'm thinking, you're going to try that, aren't you? There's no friggin' way that carrot is going to survive however you're going to launch it, because I assume black powder, because it had to be a black powder cannon.
Yeah.
And yet somehow when they shoot the carrot, which misses Gromit too.
Yeah, I thought it was a blunderbuss or something.
Yeah. Well, no, it was a cannon that he somehow put a handle on.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The handle of the rifle he was already using. He somehow crammed the two together. And he fires this thing, and somehow the golden carrot still has the leaves on it. It's like, those would have melted in that explosion that would have set that thing off. I'm sorry, it would have.
It would have.
But
it was still a good scene.
Yeah, it was still a good scene.
Still a very good scene.
That's not one of my deterrents, or my things I didn't like. So since we didn't talk about how we initially saw these movies,
yes,
you said this was your first viewing.
Yes, my first viewing.
Okay.
Oh, good night. Because obviously, because I'd seen like bits and pieces of the Wallace and Gromit shorts, throughout the years, and I just like, okay, that's a weird comedy thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it's cool claymation, cool. I have no idea what. Until I watch this film, and it's like, oh, okay. And the little carrot gears start going into place of like, oh, that's where that's from.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I thought this was like a series of movies. It's like, no.
Well, there is the Three Great Adventures movie is actually the 3 short films, one right after the other.
Yeah.
And you have this movie, and then there's another short that came out in 2008.
Yeah.
And then I think there was a short-lived TV show.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
But that's pretty much the franchise right there. And then there's like another one somewhere. I don't remember. But anyway. I had, of course, seen the Wallace and Gromit shorts back when I was in high school, right after we got Cartoon Network. Because Cartoon Network, every once in a while, on Sunday morning of all times, would play all three shorts, one right after the other.
Huh.
So I'd recorded it once, and I've watched through all 3 and thought, okay, this is funny. I mean, but I didn't have the taste for British humor at the time outside of Monty Python. So I thought, okay, these are funny. It's like, and then I found out they were actually making a movie based on it. And I remembered liking Aardman's previous claymation movie, Chicken Run, which we are going to do at some point.
Right.
And I thought, oh, I'll go see this. This is going to be fun. And it's coming out in October. It's going to be a Halloween movie. That could be funny.
Uh-huh.
So one day when I don't remember if I was off work and time. This is 2008, 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2005. That would have been the short amount of time I was working before I got hired on at Walmart.
Gotcha.
So I just got hired onto Walmart. I don't remember which, but when I first got hired, I didn't have great hours.
Yeah.
But I just went and watched it one day when I was off work and I'd just gotten out of class, something to that effect.
Yeah.
Had some time off. I'm in Tyler. I go to the movie theater and I watch it. And I remember being slightly disappointed when I came out.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't laugh out loud funny.
Okay, yeah. I agree with you on that one.
And I had not gotten really into this style of comedy. And I wouldn't get into this style of comedy until about 2010 when I first started watching Doctor Who.
Right.
So, which Doctor Who's not a comedy, but it's the comedic bits match this. You know what I mean? So, this was actually the first time I've watched it since then.
Okay.
And I can tell you I liked it more this time. But it's still not, I think, what I wanted out of a Wallace and Gromit movie. But I can't say I can't say they didn't do anything right. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes sense. Somewhat.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So what was the first thing you didn't like about this movie, if anything?
I think we touched on a little bit of ever since we are Americans, and there again, kind of like you, the only real exposure I've had of British humor was a lot of the stuff my mom enjoyed watching BBC America and not understanding a thing until I started watching Doctor Who.
Amazing how Doctor Who is the gateway.
Yeah. And I'd be like, I'm still not a huge fan of British comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably one of my nitpicks about it, because the comedy is very odd for, obviously myself being an American, and just kind of odd. Now, granted, it's good. It's just not, as the British would say, not my cup of tea.
Okay.
What's your number one?
The first thing I did not like, I've kind of touched on this already also, is that this was not the movie I think I wanted after having seen Chicken Run and remembering the short. I guess I was wanting something that was a little laugh out loud.
Yeah.
In terms of comedy. and the story is still a little bit of, well, it's British. It's a very, very British story.
Yes.
It's not one I think that actually can translate well outside of the United Kingdom.
Yes.
That's not a bad thing about it, but it does make it harder for, Americans like me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's very little I can say they did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not, like you said, it's not really for me.
Yeah.
Despite the fact this was my choice, one of my choices for Halloween month.
Mm-hmm.
Because I still like the movie. There are parts of it I think are funny, but nothing is making... I can tell you I smiled throughout the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Can't tell you I laughed that much outside of a giggle.
Yeah.
And not even a big giggle.
Yeah.
Or like a kind of giggle.
Oh, okay. I was like, okay, that was clever. Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
That's interesting. Cool. And the thing is, for most of... And I can say this is, for me, pretty typical of most of the Aardman stuff I've watched.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's funny, it's clever, but with the exception of Chicken Run, which had some pretty funny shots
Mm-hmm.
and some funny things, this does not hit that. Boom. So anyway,
Oh, yeah.
I guess you could say my biggest problem with this, it's not Chicken Run.
Okay. Gotcha. I still haven't seen with Chicken Run.
Oh, we'll get to it maybe within the next year. I've got to get a copy.
Okay.
That's the only reason we've not done it yet is because I don't have a copy of decent quality.
Oh, okay.
I think the DVD I have, as I do have it on DVD, but the problem is I scratched up.
Oh, okay.
So
I got you. So, my number 2. It's there again, not understanding fully the Wallace and Gromit history.
Mm-hmm.
I just found it really odd to be like, okay, this is real inventions.
Yes.
and now, granted, be like, I understand why he does all the inventions. I understand why he's this and this and this.
This is what he does.
This is what he does.
And all of the inventions you see in this movie are in line with the stuff from the shorts.
Yes. And, going into this film, be like, not having a full understanding of that, it was so strange.
Mm-hmm.
It was so odd. And I was like, okay, like you talked about earlier, the fact that every home had different, how like the alarms were set, the locks and everything. Okay, inventive, but incredibly odd.
And the way you know which one went off, a picture with light bulbs in a portrait goes off. That's how you know whose house is, whose vegetables are currently being nabbed by rabbits. Okay. My second thing.
Yeah.
This is a logistical thing.
Yeah.
Because admittedly, despite the fact we live in East Texas and there are rabbits.
Yes.
All over the place. I have never heard of any farmer around here, at least, complaining about rabbits eating their vegetables. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it happens.
And I'm sure it's probably a lot more common than I know. But this concept that these rabbits are so... rabid, for lack of a better term?
Yes.
Over these vegetables that you have to lock the prized vegetables themselves in a security system, not to protect it from people who would steal the vegetables or mutilate the vegetables or any other things that would normally come up in a competition. It's to keep the rabbits out. And there's so much of a problem that everyone's idea of what to do with them is to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
But for reasons that's never explained, Wallace and Gromit don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fact that they don't do it is why Lady Tottingham starts to like them, because she wants a humane way of getting rid of them.
Yeah.
The rest of the town doesn't give a flip as long as the rabbits aren't eating their vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
So why are Wallace and Gromit even being humane in the first place with the rabbits? There's no reason is given for why this is the route they decided to go for their anti-pest business.
Yeah.
And as far as I remember, this is the only time this anti-pest business ever showed up in anything. This is an original thing for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, because, he's an inventor. He was supposed to get all of his money from the different inventions.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it worked or not, it's beside the point. But, I don't know, it's just that's a concept they tell you and you're supposed to accept and know nothing in that. And admittedly, most of my experience with bunny rabbits has been Bugs Bunny. Which he's a pest for other reasons.
Yeah.
And he does eat carrots randomly and is a pest to some degree, but maybe it's just because I'm too cityfied. I don't know.
That could be it.
It's just, it seemed like, because I guess the thought in my mind was, if the rabbits are this bad in real life, this isn't got to be an exaggeration of what we see in real life.
Yeah.
And that's why it's funny.
Yeah. Well, to give it like a very interesting story that my grandfather in Louisiana, back in like the 90s.
And admittedly, I've seen more trouble from locusts and worms
Mm-hmm.
than I've ever seen from a bunny rabbit.
Yeah. My grandfather, be like, he had a garden, had carrots and peas and a whole enchilada. Because I remember him complaining about the rabbits. Like, rabbits were getting into getting into the cabbage patch.
Mm-hmm.
And like getting really irritated by the rabbits. And Mila had to go out there and shoot the rabbits. So in that, I understand. I understand from that, just thinking about it when you said that, and I was like, oh yeah. I remember my grandpa Heron complaining about the rabbits getting into his garden. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense now.
Okay, it's just not in my experience that rabbits are that bad.
Yeah.
That's really, I think that's more on me than the movie.
Yeah.
It's just, it seems like if you went into a movie and the complaint they were talking about were all the 18-wheelers on the road. Like in a Cars movie, and everyone's saying the 18-wheelers are a pest because they're always on the road, they're always in your way. And it's like, okay, I see that, I understand that, but not every car on the road is an 18-wheeler that's causing you problems.
Mm-hmm.
Why are rabbits the only problem we're seeing that they're having to protect from to this extra extent that we see throughout the movie?
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of that's for comedy's sake, but I don't know, that just didn't translate to my mind.
I understood.
Do you have a third thing that you didn't like?
Not really. Not really. There's I really can't think of anything on the top of my head that was really bothered me about the film, other than those two. I really can't think of anything. How about yourself?
The only other thing I can think of actually deals with Hutch.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I do like the concept that Wallace is getting the rabbit tendencies, Hutch is getting Wallace's tendencies. That's clever.
Okay, yeah.
That part's clever. And the fact that his bunny brain maybe not be sophisticated enough to actually form coherent sentences.
Yeah.
That's okay, but at the same time, it's like that joke is shown. It comes up in a couple spots.
Yeah.
And then it feels like when you get to the climax, when they get to the fair, and, Wallace as a were-rabbit is doing his thing, Gromit and the other dog are doing their thing, Victor Quartermain's trying to kill him. We never see anything with Hutch.
Yeah.
It's like they had this great idea for a joke and didn't use it.
Yeah, he's
to the
just
fullest extent that they could have.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what they could have done with Hutch during that sequence, but there should have been something like Hutch getting involved. Maybe Hutch trying to protect Lady Tottingham.
Yeah.
Or something, because obviously the rabbit when the rabbit and Wallace thing, he should have some kind of affection for Lady Tottingham.
Yeah.
There should be something, and maybe have him protect her during all this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe him attacking Victor
mm-hmm.
while he's trying to shoot. That could have been
that
funny.
would have been funny.
That could have been good. But it's like, from the time they get to the competition until the very last scene when they blow him up through the thing and he says cheese, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's true. It's a waste of opportunity.
It's a waste of opportunity. And admittedly, I know that represents work to make that go. They only have so much budget. It could be that maybe that was an original idea, but they had so many other stuff they were doing in there, they couldn't afford to do the Hutch stuff. Maybe, I don't know. It just feels like if you couldn't keep that part of the character strong from his real introduction as Wallace, as the Wallaceized Hutch.
Yeah.
From that point to the very end, why bring him back up at the very end and not, at the very least, show him somewhere at that competition?
Yeah. That actually brought up a point of mine that I had thought of, and it's the idea that Hutch and Wallace be like, obviously they got, mind switched.
Yes.
In a way.
So it wasn't a complete mind switch because Hutch did not gain any intelligence.
Yeah. He
gained the ability to talk, but it's a cartoon. You let that go.
Yeah. The problem is that Hutch remained his Wallace self the entire time, where Wallace would turn into a were-rabbit only when the moon was out.
Yes.
So,
and also another thing, Hutch is still Wallace at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that mean Wallace should be turning into the were-rabbit after the movie ends? Because as far as we know, he wasn't cured.
Yeah. Well, they do give the where Wallace is unconscious and like I think Gromit does something. It'd be like in those waves are coming off of his head.
I guess.
And so that
he does something with the bun vac.
Yeah, the bun vac.
But at the same time, it just
it doesn't quite make sense.
There should have been if they wanted to solidify that everything's back to the way it was. Hutch should not have been still Wallace at the end of it.
Yeah, and so that would be my number 3. Was the fact that there was no
have Hutch be involved with Hutch should be. They should have to get their brains swapped again, so the Wallaceisms go back to Wallace and the Hutches go back to Hutch.
Yeah,
That's what they should have done with Hutch.
Yeah,
have him be part of the climax instead of disappearing.
Yeah,
and like I said, maybe that was the original intention. And they just ran out of money and time.
That could have been it.
Because, like we said, this thing was made at a breakneck pace for this stuff.
Oh yeah,
to come out in 2005. Keep wanting to say 2008, and I don't know why.
Yeah, that'd been a long production. That'd been longer than Tangled, almost.
Anyway,
yeah. So yeah, that would be my number 3.
Okay. Like you said, we do both agree this is a family-friendly movie. Yes. What would you rate it?
I would rate this a solid 8.
Okay.
Solid 8. It's a fun movie. Now, granted, it does have the culture distance between a British comedy and so there's that disconnect.
Yes.
There's the disconnect with a lot of the jokes, and where as an American, who obviously grew up more in the city, don't give me the argument about if you live where I live for most of my life, then it's like, oh, it's a country. When you live less than 500 feet away from the lake, that's not country.
Well, I mean, the lake is in the sort of.
Well,
that's the thing. We both live in East Texas, and we don't live in any of the big cities, so we're half country anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, partially country.
I mean, you did have a snake in the middle of your front door yesterday morning, so...
But they have that in Dallas.
I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, there is that kind of cultural disconnect that, don't get me wrong, it's a great movie. Mm-hmm. It's a great movie. Watch it. It's enjoyable. There is just that disconnect of culture, and some of the jokes go whoop right over my head. Yeah, it's like, what in the world? What does that mean? And so, yeah, that's the only reason I would give this any negativity and just give it a solid 8. It's a great film. How about you?
I'm gonna give it an 8. I will say that with the cultural differences, most of the jokes may not land over here in stateside. So just bear that in mind. Mm-hmm. But it's a fun movie. It's, I don't know if, admittedly, there is the old saying that kids will watch whatever you put them in front of. And this is very intelligent comedy. So this is probably something maybe kids should watch.
Yeah.
And it's not really that scary.
No, it's not.
I mean, I guess there might be some spots where with the were-rabbit jumping around, because if you can imagine how scary a man-sized rabbit jumping around would actually be. And this is even bigger than that. There's some of that, but it's still a fun movie, and I can't imagine why any kid would not enjoy it to some degree.
I agree.
Even if they don't get the Britishisms.
Yeah, it's still going to be a fun little ride.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you're going to... I mean, like, if you don't like Gromit, what is wrong with you?
And the thought crosses my mind is, I remember watching Ricky Tikki Tavi when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That is completely alien to the way to my upbringing.
Yeah.
We watched The Jungle Book, for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
That's based in Africa, an entirely different culture.
Uh-huh.
And we're fine. We were fine with it.
Yeah.
Heck, kids today watch Frozen. That's Norwegian.
Yeah.
Not Norwegian. It's Dutch.
Yeah,
It's Dutch.
Norway. Yeah, Norway.
European. It's even farther east than Britain. So this shouldn't be much different.
Yeah, but the only problem with those, there's a lot
They're
of...
Americanized a little.
They're Americanized a little bit.
This is not Americanized.
This is so British, it's not even funny.
Yes.
Well, it's funny for British, but not for Americans.
Well, there's some funny Americans will get.
Yeah.
I don't think the car locking joke will land with anybody, because that's just so... Really? You did that? But anyway.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of another episode. Of course, we are in the middle of Halloween month, so we are not rolling for a movie.
Yes.
But we do only have one movie left in Halloween month.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to be...
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes. After Nightmare Before Christmas, just so everyone is aware, we are going to be starting Studio Ghibli Month Part 1, where we're going to go through, eventually, it's going to take us a while to do this, but essentially what I'm wanting to do is every November, we go through the Hayao Miyazaki and the Studio Ghibli's movies,
Yes.
from beginning to end. From from the oldest stuff to current.
Yes. So,
starting 2 weeks from when you hear this, which should be the first Saturday in November, we're going to watch Lupin the Third, The Castle of Cagliostro, which if you have been listening for a while, you know I tried to get that played for a while now, and then I dropped it out. So, we're finally going to get to that movie after having teased it since summer?
Yeah, the summer.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to go into Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind,
Uh-huh.
followed by Castle in the Sky, followed by Grave of the Fireflies, and ending on My Neighbor Totoro for November. And we'll talk about Christmas when we get to Christmas.
Yeah.
Because we don't have that finalized yet, I don't
No,
think.
we don't.
I've got an idea of what I want to bring, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, with a lot of the Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli, there's a few of them I recognize, and there's others is like, okay, I've only heard of these. Be like, I've never seen My Neighbor Totoro. And people look at me like I'm the...
Well, that is one of the ones that's like, you're an animation nerd and you've never seen My Neighbor Totoro? That's the best one! I don't think it's the best one, but it's one of the good ones, and it's one of those you hear about if you're interested at all in anime and you've not seen it. It just sounds weird.
Yes.
But thankfully, we're ending on that one at Thanksgiving after we've cried our eyes out to Grave of the Fireflies. But anyway, so keep on the lookout for that. Jacob, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook and also my art page on Facebook at Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where I try to draw every day. I don't get around to that as much as I would like, and with just a ton of stuff coming up, there's an art project I'm going to work for, a Bible study we're both in. I'm going to try working on that, so I've kind of put Inktober on the back burner. And so yeah, I'll be working on that, and that artwork will come up probably Sunday afternoon. So if you guys, after listening to another episode, a previous episode,
yeah, well, no, because this should be out by the time that should be out by the just right between this episode and Scooby-Doo.
That's right.
Scooby-Doo should be releasing this Saturday.
That's right.
And then this episode that we're recording right now will release the Saturday after that.
Okay. So, after you've listened to Scooby-Doo...
Which you should have by now.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this.
Yeah, that's true. Never mind.
Just go to his art page, see his artwork. I'm sure it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I have faith.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyways, be like, yeah, that's where you can find me. You can find me on Twitter at Jacob B. Heron. Yeah, Jacob B. Heron.
B. Dot?
Yeah. Be that dog.
Anyway.
Where can they find you, Drew?
You can also find me on Facebook under Drew Dodgen. And you can find my collection of photos as I add to them slowly but surely over at Drew's Photo Bin. I haven't had a chance to get out and take pictures, but technically, as nice as it is outside, I should be able to get out a little more often. And plus, coming into fall, you know how fall is around here, how pretty it is. There might be some fall photos coming.
Good deal.
Keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Also, you can find me on Twitter at ggeorge759. If you see a picture of a Gorn from Star Trek walking through a field of flowers, you found the right. But you can also find both of us on our website, thecellcast.podbean.com. On that website, you can find links to listen to us on iTunes. I still do that. You can find links to find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. And you can find a link to our closed Facebook group, the Cellcast. It is kept closed to keep the rabbits out.
Indeed.
Which is odd because of how often we like to chase rabbits.
That we do.
And of course, you can also find us on our Twitter account, @cast_cell, where we do at least try to post about the episode as it comes out, so you can find us there as well. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
There is one.
Admittedly, I do need to make a regular Facebook page.
It's just wanted to promote a little.
Well, while you're looking that up, right quick, I'll go over this friend of some listener input.
Yeah,
I should say.
Okay.
Back on September 30th in the Facebook group, a good friend of mine, Joseph Hamrick, asked for put in a movie suggestion for us to take a look into.
Okay.
Treasure Planet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is technically based on Robert Louis Stevenson's book, Treasure Island.
Oh, okay.
I'm all for it once we get around to it. I'm hoping that's one of those that shows up on Disney Plus.
I would hope so.
But what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. That'll definitely go into the slot because I've heard so many good things about that film. That it's definitely one of those movies that was just completely underrated.
Yeah. Well, it's in that stretch of movies where you just didn't hear about Disney movies being released.
Yeah.
Because they weren't, they weren't, blowing the top off of it. Anyway, your brother?
Yeah, anyways, I can't find anything. I can't find it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just have to come back and, some other... Anyways. Alright, so... Reward.
We were ending.
Yeah, that's right.
I asked if there was anything else. You said you were going to find something for your brother, and then that's where we stopped.
Okay.
And then I mentioned that about Treasure Planet.
Okay.
Is there anything else to get this moving to finish?
Okay. Yeah, no, nothing I can think of.
Alright. This has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame. Shaggy, Scooby.
Yeah?
You got anything? Because I don't.
Nothing? We got any rabbits?
The store was out of rabbits today, unfortunately.
Ready? No, I got nothing.
The guys expect us to do this skit every week.
Yeah.
And we can't come up with anything for this movie. How are they going to end the movie?
Like, I don't know. Maybe just fly everybody.
I'll get you next time.
Ruby-dooby-doo! Next time on...
The Cellcast.
You'll poison poisoned me for the last time, you wretched girl. Oh, my head. The door is open.
Hello?
Jack Skellington. Up here, my boy.
Doctor! I need to borrow some equipment.
Is that so? Whatever for?
I'm conducting a series of experiments.
Perfectly marvelous. Curiosity killed the cat, you know.
I know.
Come on into the lab and we'll get you all fixed up.